Hey there, this is Clay, and today I'm going to be answering a question that maybe it's not really a question that many people are really overtly asking, but just sort of an implicit question that kind of underscores a lot of questions that we get. And that's really, why is your ex like shutting you off, walling you off, and basically becoming so cold to you after a breakup? You know, it can be really frustrating when you're together with someone in a relationship, you love each other, you're so close and connected, and then to just suddenly turn that off and just to have this like giant curtain, this giant wall go between the two of you. Why does that happen? Well, the reason this happens is it's actually twofold. The first reason is because really any breakup happens because one person in the relationship wants space away from that relationship or away from the other person in that relationship. And when that happens, that person wants to enjoy the space. They want to have that space. So what they do is they distance themselves from that person, from that relationship, so they have time to get that space that they need. And you know, whether or not things work out, that space will help them get time to reevaluate things and see life through another lens that they wouldn't have otherwise been able to do if they stayed in contact with you, if they really kept in touch with you and were still in that relationship. And the second reason why they're doing this is because it has a little bit to do with the emotional side of what happens during a breakup. You see, when the two of you break up, there's really two very intense emotions that are created, one in you and one in the person that is doing the dumping. Now, if you've been dumped, you know, you obviously feel rejected, you feel hurt, you feel all of these like nasty emotions, and you don't need me to tell you that. So that's one of the emotions, and the other one is the one that the person doing the dumping feels. And a lot of people don't really talk about this, so it's not as well understood. But that person feels a sense of guilt. You know, they broke up with you and you're in all this pain, and they feel guilty that they're causing this pain to you. They believe they're causing this pain. And nobody likes to think of themselves as the sort of person who goes around hurting other people and causing pain. And so what they do is they kind of distance themselves as well, because every time they're in touch with you, every time they're reminded of you, every time they get a message from you, or every time you call them, they're basically reminded of that pain and the fact that they might be the kind of person that has hurt someone else, and they don't like to be reminded of that. They don't like that feeling, and so they sort of pull away. And what you need to do is you need to cut that contact through active no contact, which we've talked about in previous videos, so that you can really not trigger that feeling of guilt in them. Because every time you reach out to them, every time you try and contact them, you're going to trigger that feeling of guilt, and before too long they'll start to associate you with that negative emotion, and that's not really a great strategy for sort of patching things up and working things out. So you definitely want to keep your distance and respect their request for space, both for the first reason and also for the second reason, so that you don't start to like over-trigger that feeling of guilt, which would just cause them to pull away even further. So if you'd like to learn more about how to deal with your breakup, please go to relationshipinnergame.com and sign up there. We'll send you a lot of information, a lot of strategies, and really the proven plan that we recommend and has worked for several of our successful clients to help you get back together with the person that you love. Thanks.